Hello, welcome to the next session of LeadX, Leading by Example in the World Stuttering Community. Today we have with us Hanan Hurwitz. Thank you for coming today and sharing your valuable time and your years of experience in leadership in our World Stuttering community.
Thank you, Tom, for having me, and hopefully I can be helpful in these sessions. Thank you.
So the first question is, please lay out your roles in the stuttering community and what led to each.
In the past, I was executive director of the Israeli Stuttering Association. But I guess going back a little bit before that, I was the chairman of the association. What led to that was the previous chair wanted to step down and kind of asked around who was willing to take it on. And I said, I'll give it a try, but be there to help me and mentor me because I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. And that developed over time because of the needs of the association into me taking over the role of the executive director. It happened because of the needs of the association to have more presence, more visibility.
Excellent, excellent. Who helped you during your leadership journey? How did they help you?
So it's a really interesting question, Tom. One of my challenges with stuttering, the biggest challenge has been that I've avoided asking questions, and many times I've avoided asking for help. Today, I do that a lot better. I ask questions and ask for help, but for most of my life, I've avoided that because, that means speaking and exposing myself and stuttering and all the rest of it. And I developed this then habit of not asking for help. So I didn't have a particular mentor. I seldom asked for help. However, I keenly observed other associations and how other people were doing things in the NSA, in Friends, World Stuttering Network, Stammer, Stammerly to a large extent, trying to see what folks are doing there and learning from them. So you and others have been mentors without you knowing it.
Well, that's a great compliment. Thank you. Thank you. Did you have any anxiety or hesitation about being qualified enough to lead?
Yes, lots. I never felt that I was qualified to lead. I have a large sense of imposter syndrome, believing that I'm not good enough. I understand where those things came from, and these are in our journey with stuttering. It's so interesting to find these things out about ourselves because that enables change. Back to your question, I was consumed with anxiety about not being good enough and not knowing enough. Just looking at some notes I'd written, fear of criticism, carrying with me a sense that I need to be perfect. So this perfectionism. And we know how the perfectionism feeds the fear and the shame, and that feeds the perfectionism. So there was a lot of struggle on, can I do it? Am I good enough? A lot of need for approval from the other carries into that. And from an organizational point of view, the challenges that I faced were a lack of knowledge about stuttering on the part of the organization, in many respects, a lack of order in an organization, so an unorganized organization. And I'm not saying this to be critical. Organizations grow. This is just where they were at that time. So those were challenges.
Excellent. How did you motivate an organization of people who stutter?
I think that we motivate by being assertive in our acceptance of ourselves and of our stuttering, and being assertive in our messaging that it's okay to stutter, and being assertive in our messaging that it's our right to stutter. And we motivate by, I think, giving these messages of assertion, telling ourselves and showing that we can stand up proudly and stutter, pushing back, not with aggression, but pushing back against the common messaging that, hey, maybe we got to fix our stuttering and we're not good enough. No, showing with assertion and with humor that it's not only okay to stutter, it's great. This is who we are. And if we fight against it, we're going to continue our suffering. And why we're fighting against it is because we're trying to gain approval of other people. So let's ask ourselves, hey, why are we looking for approval from others? And then we build our own sense of worth, and then we have motivation.
Awesome. What qualities or personality traits do you look for when assembling your team?
So this is an interesting question. Personally, I wasn't really in a situation where I'm assembling a team. So I'm not sure that I can actually answer that very well. There were situations where I decided, I proposed an association to bring certain people onto the board of directors. So I guess that's building the team. These were people who were accepting of the messaging of, hey, it's okay to stutter. Let's build our acceptance. Let's build acceptance in the children who stutter and show them how awesome they are. So bringing these people who had learned the messaging, had embraced the messaging, and were taking active part in creating activities to advance people who stutter, children who stutter. So those were people that I had brought on board into the board.
What should a person focus on when seeking leadership roles?
The person should focus, in my opinion, on the benefits to the community, on what that person can bring as benefit to the community, and focus on letting go of ego. It's not about us. And it's really difficult because we want approval. It's human, right? But it's not about us. We have to focus on what benefit we bring to the community. In fact, taking active steps to step away from the limelight, and being aware of our ego and our need for approval, not in a judgmental way, but being aware of that pull, because that pull is dangerous. Well, not dangerous, it's harmful to us, it's harmful to what we're there to do, because it's not about us, it's about what benefit we bring to the people who need us. And it doesn't matter if they know about us or not. The only thing which matters is, are they benefiting? And that's what a leader, in my opinion, needs to focus on.
How would you describe your leadership style? What is important to you regarding leadership of a stuttering support organization?
It's important to have clear messaging. And the messaging is, what is the strategy of the organization? What are our messages? And it's important to have that so that everybody who's participating knows what we're about. So I'm not saying that I know exactly what messaging is right. I'm saying in a particular organization, make sure the messaging is right and communicated for that organization. Have a strategy, and then define objectives, things one wants to achieve in practice to achieve the goals of our organization, and then empower other people. And this is again about the ego, or letting go of ego. Empower others to do their stuff and get out of their way. Sure, we need to monitor, check what's going on, but let's try avoid control. Let's empower the people to do. So it's a delicate balance. I'm sure you know and understand. It's not simple. With all of that, in addition, I think it's important for a leader to be empathetic and to be compassionate. There are mostly volunteers in organizations like ours, like we're speaking about. People are giving their time when they've got a whole bunch of other stuff happening in their lives. Let's be empathetic. Let's be compassionate. Sometimes Joe or Joanna won't manage to create that meeting that we wanted them to do, or that they wanted to do, because other stuff happening in their lives. It's okay. We're volunteers mostly. Let's really always keep that in mind. And then let's give recognition to the volunteers.
How do you keep a positive climate in your organization?
I'm laughing because well, because of what happened with me and the Israeli Stuttering Association, some people, I mean, there was a big conflict, and I left. It's not a secret. So the person I was in conflict with might think I didn't at all create a positive climate. So I'm aware of that story. I believe we keep a positive climate by focusing on our goals, on our actions, knowing what's important and what's not important, and again, being empathetic and compassionate. We've all got lives going on besides what we're doing in the community of people who stutter. Keep a positive climate by understanding that people have lives. And I think encouraging people to be open with that. Sometimes people suffer because they feel, hey, what's happening in my personal life has got, I'm not allowed to talk about it in the organization. No, you are. It's part of who you are. It's part of where you're coming from. Tell us about it, or don't, whatever's comfortable for you. We don't have to hide ourselves. So encourage people not to hide what's going on with them. They don't have to share everything, but people need to know that we're aware that we all have our lives and our challenges in life, and it's going to affect how we deliver in our volunteering service, and sometimes we'll manage, and that's okay. Let's not try to be perfect.
Well, don't give that comment a second thought, because a couple people have said that I'm not positive, and I'm like, what? So people's perceptions vary, that's for sure.
Right.
All right. So my next question is, when do you push your opinion? When do you hold back and let others get their way?
Yeah. This is another wonderfully phrased question, Tom, because it's so important when we trying to manage an organization and manage people's contribution with everything else which is happening in their lives. The one thing, is the topic really important? Do I have to have an opinion about this particular topic? Because if I want to, I can have an opinion and push back about everything if I want to, and that's a choice I make. So again, I need to know, is the topic, is it foundational in what we're doing? I need to be honest with myself whether and how much of my ego is involved. Is the topic related to the strategy, to the messaging, to the objectives, to the the basic guidelines of our organization, right? So just a trivial example would be, let's say we have an organization where we say it's okay to stutter, and then someone comes on and says, well, I'm going with a project that's okay to stutter, but it's better if you use these tools. Or why? But it's okay to stutter, but you can use your tools. So that kind of thing maybe gets to the heart of what the association is, and then maybe one would decide to push back, and then one has to decide how to push back on that, and what kind of discussion to have, and how to create a discussion that doesn't become a conflict. And it's not always easy. It's not always possible. The other thing is to recognize that others getting their way can be positive. right? When I can, if I can let go of my opinion and my ego and my fear of being in this situation where I'm leading an organization and I'm fearful because I feel like I'm a captain of a ship in this huge storm, but I'm not. So can I let go, and can I see others getting the way as a good thing? Because maybe I'm also wrong about what I'm thinking. If it empowers them, if it empowers those people and furthers the aims of the organization, then that's a really good opportunity to step back.
That was an excellent answer. Okay. How do you handle negative remarks or criticism personally and organizationally?
Very, very important question, very important point, and something that I struggle with mightily. I struggle mightily with criticism. It's something that I continue working on for myself in terms of my self growth. One should try to get to a point where negative remarks and criticism, we should strive to not react, but to see if we can listen to what's being said, see if I feel any defensiveness. Am I feeling attacked? Do I feel defensive? Can I avoid reacting from a point of defensiveness and give myself time to think about it? And these are all very, very difficult things to do. But a leader who can at least be aware of this dynamic and be aware that, yeah, we're human and we might react with defensiveness to being criticized. And it's, we're under pressure. We may be fearful in organization. It's a challenge to dissociate the criticism from a personal attack. It's also a challenge, maybe particularly for people who stutter in organizations. Many of us, not all of us, many of us are coming from traumatic experiences. I know for me, my trauma has caused to develop in me a lot of defensive behavior. And my defensiveness is often very aggressive because I'm trying to survive. It's just the way humans are built. So I suggest being aware as a leader that you will face negative remarks and criticism. How do I prepare for it? Can I get help from someone who's experienced this before to prepare for this? It's going to happen, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. How do I prepare for it so I don't see it as a threat, so I don't see it as a necessarily bad thing? How do I get help to know that I don't have all the answers? Maybe I'm doing something wrong and criticism is warranted. How do I learn to not take that personally? So for me, these are huge challenges because of who I am and where I'm coming from. I'm not saying that I'm unique. I'm not saying that I need sympathy. This is just who I am, and I know that I have these challenges. I imagine many other people do too. So let's be aware of these situations that are going to happen and see how we can prepare ourselves for them.
Have you experienced competition from peers within the organization? How did you handle this?
I didn't have had experience of competition. I don't feel I did. I experienced a big conflict in the organization, but I don't think that it was from a place of competition. So I haven't experienced that. I don't know. I can't say how I handled it. But I think going back to the topic that we discussed before, many of the things that we discussed before may be of help here. Yeah, we're people who stutter and we're united around this topic of stuttering. However, as we find out, and I think, Tom, you should agree with me, people, we the same, not they, we the same. We've got our own drives and issues and challenges, even if we're united around stuttering. So there will be challenges. There will be challenges for opposition in an organization. How do we handle it? I would recommend first self-care. Take care of yourself. Sometimes a challenge can be within an organization can be discussed and met, and sometimes it's just too much and it's not worth it. One can also step back. I left the organization I was in. It was too much. It wasn't fun anymore. There wasn't a benefit in managing those challenges, because the energy that it would have taken to manage it would have resulted in a distraction, not only on my part but on other people's part, from the work, from the reason that we should have been there from the reason that we were in the first place. So let's get back to one of your first questions. Why are we there? And it's not about us, it's about helping the community. And maybe there's a conflict in an organization that results in us not being able to resolve it. And maybe it's better for that child who stutters in the 4th grade for me to let go, so the organization can continue helping that child in the 4th grade. That's what's important, and that's really key in reasoning of why I left my organization. And I'm not saying this to say, wow, I did the right thing and I'm great. No, it was really hard, and I'm not sure. I don't know if I did the right thing. We manage, but we focus on we really need to focus on why we're there, and are we able to still do the work in that organization, in that environment, or is it time to say, cheers? Let someone else have a go.
Excellent, excellent points. So our final question is, what mistakes have you made along the way, and how would you have done it differently?
Wow. Wow. My big mistakes from the notes I made here: one, a fear of making mistakes. Combined with needing approval from others. Um, and that's, it's very personal. It's not personal. It's personal. It's individual. So these are things that these are mistakes that are particular to me because of my makeup. If I were to handle it differently, I would be, hopefully, try to be less fearful of making mistakes, communicating when there's a decision that I'm making that is, not 100% clear cut. Maybe for that one has a board of directors, an association to support, maybe, and to not be so fearful about the approval of others. Here's the thing: a person in a leadership role is always going to be criticized by someone or some whole bunch of someones. We can never please everyone, but we're not there to please everyone. Hopefully, we're not going to make people angry, but my big mistake was trying to have everybody approve of me all the time and being fearful of disapproval. Yeah.
I really appreciate your vulnerability and just opening yourself up. I mean, I greatly admire and respect that. I really do. So,
Thank you.
do you have any uh, further thoughts for the future leaders of our world stuttering community?
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Being vulnerable and being open is important, and it's a strength, as we taught by Brene Brown, the power of vulnerability. And in this case, if I can just say, if you're going to the time to ask these questions, and they're so important, if I can't answer honestly and openly, and to speak about things that I wish I'd done in a different way, so-called failures, then I'm not helping. I'm creating a veneer, and that's not helpful. So other things that I think are really important. So I spoke a little bit before about ego. There's a book written by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday is an author of Stoic philosophy texts. And one of his books is called Ego is the Enemy. And his message is that basically whatever happens next, ego is the enemy. And I'm not, this is a difficult conversation. I'm not saying anybody else has a problem with ego. I know, everybody experiences ego. Read the book. Everybody, in my opinion, should read the book, explore themselves to find out, hey, where is my ego? How is my ego manifesting? And can I think, hey, whatever happens next, ego is the enemy. In other words, any decision I'm taking, let me think, is ego in that? Or am I focused on the benefit to the community? And really make an effort to let go of that ego. It's related, highly related to the philosophy of mindfulness and compassion, and being in the moment and being aware. Mindfulness, awareness, moment by moment awareness of what's going on, what what my feelings are, what my thoughts are, what my drives are, what I'm trying to achieve in this particular situation. Another thing important in an organization, define your strategy. What is the strategy of the organization? What are the goals? What are the objectives that we're going to create to meet those goals? And when we have objectives, let's make sure they're SMART, SMART. So objectives are specific, measurable, achievable. The R, relevant to our strategy, relevant to why we're here. And T, time bound. So if we have objectives that are SMART, then they're really tied into the organization. They make sense given the strategy that we've defined. And then everything makes sense. It's easy. It's easier. So I really encourage that kind of thinking. The other thing is create a community that includes people who stutter, parents of children who stutter, and therapists of different sorts, right? Sure, we want to include therapists who are aligned with our messaging as well. I mean, we include, we don't want to exclude. But we're all in this, all these people who started, the parents, therapists of different sorts, we're all affected in some way by stuttering. We've all got benefits to bring to the table, benefits to bring to achieving our goals. So let's be inclusive of the different populations in our association. Values guided actions that are directly connected to the strategy. So we always, sorry about that, we're always looking to see, are the actions we taken aligned with our values in association, with our strategy. Recognize our volunteers, as we spoke about. We want to empower the volunteers. We want to recognize that they have lives and challenges just like we have going on, and that will also affect how they volunteer. Let's understand that even if they're not sharing everything about their life, let's be compassionate, and let's make sure that we give recognition to the volunteers. And let's go to Iceland and have a conference.
Well, once again, thank you for sharing your valuable time. And there was so much wisdom based on your experience that you shared today. I mean, I have known you for many years, and just listening to your words, I mean, you live everything that you talk about. You know, there's no veneer, as you call it, to what you just said. And this is going to be a treasure for years, generations to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom, for helping create knowledge and support for the people who are doing this work. So important. Thank you.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. So I hope it's been helpful. I hope it'll be helpful to people. And you know, it's not trivial. It's very difficult to have clear-cut answers. But if there's anything, you know, I can do further to help, or if something doesn't make sense, let's talk about it.
Well, like we talked about just before we started this session, people don't really want to hear what we think they want to hear. They want to hear what we think. And they have the ability to disagree, or they can agree with what we said, you know, but they really want to hear what we think. And you certainly did that in today's session. So I just want to express my appreciation to you once again.
You're very welcome. Thank you for this opportunity, Tom.
Okay. Thank you, my friend, and I'll see you around the world stuttering community.
So, bye for now.